So welcome back students. In the previous video we studied about the mergers and acquisition meaning and mergers in amalgamation in the nature of merger, amalgamation in the nature of purchase, what are all the conditions and regarding pooling interest method and purchase method. So next coming on to accounting procedures for amalgamation of the company. So what are all the accounting procedures or what are all the steps that need to be followed for the purpose of making the mergers, for the purpose of accounting the amalgamation? So there need to be an accounts for everything, even when it is in the case of merger also, there is amalgamation also, there need to be an procedures or steps that need to be followed. So coming on with that, the first is that and while calculating or making a accounting treatment, first we need to calculate purchase consideration. So as you can see, so that purchase consideration is the value or a sum of money paid to the owners of transferor company or the old company or vendor company. So any money or a sum of value given for the transferor company is known as purchase consideration. And then next coming on to ascertainment of discharge of purchase consideration. So here when this step what we will be doing is we will be discharging the purchase consideration, that is discharging in the sense for how much to be paid for equity shareholders and how much to be paid for preference shareholders. So on what basis we are paying for them, that is regarding discharge of PC. And then coming on to closing the books of transferor company. So here we need to pass the ledger accounts and journal entries and ledger account for the purpose of closing the books of that is old company or transferor company or vendor company. And then lastly passing opening entries and preparation of balance sheet in the books of transferee company. So as we close the books of transferor company, obviously we need to open an entries, we need to pass an entries for opening in the transferee company, that the person who is purchasing or the new company, we need to pass the opening entries, and also we are supposed to prepare the balance sheet for that sake. So next let's see with these steps. So in this video we will be studying how to calculate the purchase consideration and how to ascertain the purchase consideration. These two things will be studied in this video, and also the problems on the purchase, how to calculate purchase consideration. So coming on to the step 1, as you can see here, the calculation of purchase consideration. Purchase consideration refers to the consideration payable by the transferee company to transferor company. So the what is the new company or the purchasing company will be paid to the company which is amalgamating, that is, or the old company or the vendor company. So for taking over the assets and liabilities, so for the purpose of taking the assets and liability, the transferee company is paying some consideration for the transferor company. Done. So as you can see, this is the definition. Accounting Standard 14 defines the term purchase consideration as aggregate of the shares and other securities issued and the payment made in the form of cash or other assets by the transferee company to the shareholders of the transferor company. So this is all about the meaning of purchase consideration and definition. So coming on to, there are three methods of calculating purchase consideration. One is lump sum method, net asset method and net payment method. So this lump sum method we can't say that as a method in purchase consideration, we can just take it as a consideration, because in case of this lump sum method, the value of purchase consideration will already be given in the question. We need to only discharge the purchase consideration. There is no need of calculating the purchase consideration in case of lump sum method. So there is nothing regarding that will considering that as a method, but I written over here just for the sake of understanding. And next coming on to, so as you can see, lump sum method, when a purchase consideration of amount is mentioned in the problem itself, it is called lump sum consideration. Okay, not even method, that will call it as consideration. So next coming on to net asset method. So under this method, purchase consideration will be excess of value of assets taken over by the transferee company over the value of liabilities taken over. So simple term, how to calculate under that is purchase consideration under net asset method means that is assets taken over. The question will be giving you what is the assets taken over by the transferee company, and also they will be giving the liabilities taken over by the transferee company. So when assets taken over minus liabilities taken over, you will be arriving at this purchase consideration. So after arriving this purchase consideration, the forms in which we will be giving the equity shareholders or preference shareholders will be considered as that is discharge of purchase consideration. So that you will be seeing in while solving the question. Done. So next is net payment method. Yes, see, as you can see, only payment for the shareholders, that is equity and preference shareholders, are taken for the purpose of purchase consideration. Payment made for the debentures and creditors are not considered. So here in the net payment method, they will not give you anything regarding the assets or anything regarding assets. So they will be giving you the question regarding how the equity shares or how we will be paying for the equity shareholders. So here while calculating net payment method, even if the question states anything for the payment of debentures or creditor holders, means that need not to be considered in that. So let's start with before starting that, hope you have been understood with the methods of purchase consideration and how it is calculated. So while going on with the question, let me start with lump sum method just for the sake of understanding over here, because you can see the problem 1. Total purchase consideration is 2,60,000. So as I said earlier, the value of purchase consideration is given already, which is to be discharged by the issue of 16,000 equity share of rupees 10 each and 1 lakh in the cash. Calculate purchase consideration. So purchase consideration already given, so this will be the discharge of purchase consideration. So now we need to see, they have given now the transferee company, they are not given the names here. The transferee company, the company which is taking over is giving for the transferor company 2,60,000. So it has decided to give 2,60,000 for the purpose of taking the company. Now even they have given how to discharge it, how they are giving this 2,60,000. So they are not giving this 2,60,000 completely in the form of shares or completely in the form of cash. So they have divided that into two parts. So how they are giving, that is payment to shareholders, how they are making the payment. First is that they will be issuing 16,000 equity share of rupees 10 each. So that will be equity share 16,000 into 10, 1,60,000 in the form of equity share, and rupees 1 lakh in the form of cash. So in the form of cash 1 lakh rupees. So it is totally of 2,60,000. So as you can understand here, we have discharged, we have given 2,60,000 in two forms. One is in the form of equity share, one is in the form of cash. So hope you have been understood with this lump sum method. They have already given the purchase consideration, so we will be calling that as lump sum method or consideration. So next, coming on with net asset method. So what is the formula for net asset method, or you can take it as a formula, that is assets taken over minus liabilities taken over. So while doing the sum, you will understand what is that. Okay. So as you can see over here, so even I will be saying you how to distinguish between net asset method and net payment method. So by the time you end with this, complete this problem, so you will be able to understand how to distinguish between these two, or I will be saying you at the last. Okay. Calculate the purchase consideration. So here we need to calculate the purchase consideration. So here total assets at a book value. So assets they are given, right? What is the assets value? 5 lakh rupees. Assets are taken over at 10% less than book value. So assets value is 5 lakh rupees and the transferee company has decided to take over this 5 lakh rupee assets at the less than 10%, right? So this both is of assets. Total liabilities is 2 lakh rupees. Liabilities not taken over is 50,000. Liquidation expenses 5,000 are to be borne by the purchasing company. So this is neglected, that is ignored over here. There is no need for consideration of this liquidation expenses here. While doing liquidation chapter, we may be considering that. So we will be considering only assets and liabilities. So if the question clearly states both the things regarding assets and liabilities, means it is compulsory net asset method. So next, coming on to, even they have given the market value, that is less than 10%, you can calculate. They have given in balances also. So it will be considered as net asset method. So while calculating, if you find out that it is a net asset method, you will be calculation of net purchase consideration, you will be writing at net asset method. So don't forget to write this one in the bracket. You need to mention that. Even in the question they will be asking for write down the what is the method of purchase consideration also. You need to write down that. So as you can see, what is the formula here? What is assets taken over minus liabilities taken over is equal to purchase consideration. So let's see about the assets taken over. So assets was worth of 5 lakh rupees, but they are taking over at less than 10%. So 5 lakh into 10% will be 50,000. So 5 lakh minus 50,000, 4 lakh 50,000 worth of assets they are taking over. So let's see about minus liabilities. What is the liabilities taken over? Who is taking over here? The transferee company is taking over. From whom? From transferor company. For whom the purchase consideration is paid? For transferor company, old company shareholders or the owners, right? So let's see about liabilities taken over. So what is the value of liabilities? The total liabilities is 2 lakh rupees. So even here the transferee company has decided to not take the 50,000 worth of, that is liabilities. So you will be considering only what is the liabilities that has been taken over. So 2 lakh minus 50,000 is 1 lakh 50,000. So purchase consideration will be 3 lakh rupees. So this is all about net asset method. So let's solve one more problem, next two problems regarding purchase net asset method. So that will be not so simple as you see. See next question. Coming on with, Bhumika Limited is taken over by Chaitra Limited. So Bhumika Limited is transferor company. So here Chaitra Limited is transferee company. So see, she is taking over Bhumika Limited, right? On the following terms, this Chaitra Limited is taking over the Bhumika Limited. The assets and liabilities of Bhumika Limited shall be valued at 3 lakh rupees and 30 lakh rupees and 10 lakh rupees respectively. Means assets worth of 30 lakh, liabilities worth of 10 lakh. So they have given the value of Bhumika Limited, assets and liabilities. Done. So this is the value of assets and liabilities of Bhumika Limited, which is taken over by Chaitra Limited. So next is 5,000 shall be paid in cash and the balance of consideration shall be discharged by issue of shares of rupees 10 each at a premium of 50%. So this first part is given for the purpose of calculating purchase consideration. You can see they are mentioned the discharged word here. So you can understand that this is for the purpose of discharging the PC, that is purchase consideration. So show the calculation of purchase consideration. Also state the number of shares issued to the shareholders of Bhumika Limited. So what is the three things we need to do? First is calculation of purchase consideration. Second is how to discharge the purchase consideration, and to see the number of shares later. So let's start with first step, that is calculation of purchase consideration. So they are given the assets, they are given the liabilities. So by this you can understand here, this is the net asset method. So calculation of PC under net asset method, assets taken over minus liabilities taken over. So what is the value of assets here they are given? That is worth of 3 lakh rupees. So liability is worth of 10 lakh. So purchase consideration is 20 lakh. So coming on to how to discharge this 20 lakh, how to pay this 20 lakh rupees to the equity shareholders, also they are given. So 5,000 rupees should be paid in cash. So particulars, in cash they are paying 5,000 rupees. 20 lakh is distributed now to be given to the shareholders of transferor company. They are giving 5,000 in the form of cash, and next what they are given, and the balance of consideration shall be discharged by issue of shares of rupees 10 each at a premium of 50%. So let's take until the balance of the consideration shall be discharged by issue of shares. So here remaining whatever the balance is there, that need to be given in the form of shares of rupees 10 each at 50% premium. So now whatever for 2 lakh rupees minus 5 lakh is 19 lakh 95,000. So this is the balancing figure. You came to know this is the value that need to be paid in the form of equity share. So this is the value, this is the rupees value that is paid. So we know that 20 lakh rupees is completely discharged now. So one more thing they were asked us is Also state the number of shares issued to the shareholders of Bhumika Limited. So here we came to know the value. We need to see what is the number of equity share issued. So how to do that? As it is 19,95,000 divided by, why is that 15 means the face value of each share is 10 rupees, but they are paid at a premium of 50%. So 10 into 50% is 5, so 10 plus 5 is 15. So 19,95,000 divided by 15 is 13,33,000 equity shares has been issued to Bhumika Limited. So this is all about the problem number 3 while calculating the purchase consideration under net asset method. So next sum is even it is also under net asset method itself. So here I can show you, see here the next question is Bindu Limited was agreed to be acquired by Sindhu Limited. So who is the transferor? Bindu is the transferor. Who is the transferee? Sindhu is the transferee. She is taking over Bindu Limited as on 31st March 2018. On this day, the balance sheet of Bindu Limited, that is the transferor company, was as follows. Liabilities, assets, she has, Bindu Limited has 50,000 equity share of rupees 10 each, 5 lakh, general reserve 2 lakhs, profit and loss account 1,50,000, 5% debenture 1,20,000, sundry creditors 1,30,000. So coming on to the asset side, she has the fixed assets of 9 lakh and current assets of 2 lakh, that is 2 lakh rupees. So here there is given the adjustments. Okay, I'll say later. Sindhu Limited agreed to acquire fixed assets at 10% more than the book value. So you can see there the fixed assets value is given, shows Sindhu is taking more than 10%, but current assets were valued at 1,50,000. So here fixed assets is 9 lakh rupees. She is taking the fixed assets at more than 10% more than value, but current assets value is 2 lakh rupees, but she is taking the current assets at 1,50,000. So purchase consideration was paid at 50% in the equity share and 50% in the equity share of rupees 10 each and balance in cash. So this value you can understand. So this is the payment, so it is paid, that is the discharge of PC. And this is all about the assets taken over. So whatever is the assets given here, we should consider while calculating net assets method, market value, that is whatever the given in the adjustment, that need to be considered for the purpose of calculating net asset method. So they are given regarding fixed assets in the adjustment. So from this you can understand this is the value of the net assets method. Done. So let's take so calculation of purchase consideration under net asset method. So let's take over what are the assets taken over. So there is only two kinds of assets, one is fixed assets and one is current assets. Fixed assets has been taken more than at the value of more than 10%. So 9 lakh rupees plus 9 lakh into 10,000, that is 10% will be 90,000. So 9 lakh plus 90,000 is 9,90,000. So current assets, value of current assets is 2 lakh rupees, but she has that is Bindu, the transferee company is taking over at 1,50,000. So we will be writing 1,50,000 itself. Whatever the market value has been given, whatever the things that has been given in adjustments only need to be taken. Okay. So next, so when we add this both, the assets taken over, total assets taken over is 11,40,000. So now let's take off the liabilities taken over. So as you can see, there is many things, that is general reserve is there, profit and loss account is there, shares is there. Now we will be taking only the liabilities, not these both are reserves of the company that belongs to the owners of the company. We will not be considering that. So one more thing you can understand. So if you understand with this much only liabilities is taken over, that's enough. But to say further, we can also see here Bindu Limited was agreed to be acquired by Sindhu Limited. So here the word acquire is coming. So this means purchase, right? So it is that there is no need to bang your heads in this section B problem, but next when you go for an 14 marks problem, that need to be seen. So Let me say this one. So this acquired means purchase. So in the amalgamation in the nature of purchase means the first condition, amalgamation in the nature of purchase, what is that? That all the assets and that is all the assets and liabilities is not of will not be belong, that is all the assets and liabilities of transferee company does not belongs to the assets and liabilities of transferee company. So transferor company assets and liabilities is not compulsory to be belonging to the transferee company. So this is in the case of purchase. So we'll be not taking the reserves and also we'll be taking only creditors value. Reserves and profit and loss account value will not be taken over here, that is accumulated profits or reserves will not be considered, only liabilities will be considered in case of purchase method. So hope you have understood. So we'll be taking only debentures and creditors here. So as you can see, the debentures and creditors will be taken at the book value itself, but assets they are given the market value, we are taken at that, but regarding liabilities they are not given anything. So we will be taking at a book value itself, that is the balance sheet value. So now when we had this both, we got, that is when we deduct this, we got 8,90,000 is the purchase consideration. So this is the value to be given by Sindhu Limited to Bindu Limited. So we came to know the purchase consideration. Now we need to see how the Sindhu Limited is giving this value to Bindu Limited. So let's they are given in the question itself. Purchase consideration was paid 50% in equity shares of 10 each and balance in cash. So now in this 8,90,000, 50% need to be given in equity shares. So 8,90,000 into 50%, 4,45,000. So remaining whatever it is there, that need to be given in the form of cash. So in equity shares, in cash, done. So written. So this value, this is the discharge of PC. So in the question they are not asked to calculate the number of shares to be given. So this much is enough. So hope you have been understood with this question, that is problem number 4. So once again, so here we completed with our net lump sum method and net asset method. So let's go on with next method, that is the net payment method. So how to calculate in the sense of net payment method to that is purchase consideration. So you can see that is next problem, that is problem number 5 under net payment method. So question is states like this: calculate purchase consideration of Sony Company Limited for the following detail, from the following detail. So we need to calculate the purchase consideration. They are given the discharge of purchase consideration. In the question itself they are mentioned how to discharge the purchase consideration. We need to calculate the what is the value of purchase consideration. Done. So what they are given, how they are giving the value, how they are giving the purchase consideration in 2 lakh, that is 25,000 equity share of rupees 10 each at agreed value of 12.50. So 25,000 equity share, each was 10 rupees, but they are giving a 12.50 rupees. First thing. Second is 12,500 preference share of 100 each. So they are giving in first in the equity share form, second in the form of preference share, and third in the form of cash, rupees 2.50 per equity share. So what is the value of equity? That is number of equity shares 25,000. So 25,000 equity share, one share is 2.50. They are giving it in the form of cash. Done. So let's calculate the purchase consideration. They are given the PC. Let's add all those things first. In the form of equity shares, what they are giving, 25,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each at a value of 12.50. That will be 25,000 into 12.50 is 3,12,500. First we came to know this is the value of equity share. So next is preference share. Also they are given 12,500 shares of rupees 10 each. That is 12,500 into 10 to 1 lakh. Yes, 1,25,000. So next coming on to in the form of cash, how they are giving in the form of cash 2.50, that is 2 rupees 50 paise per equity share. So value of equity share is 25,000. What is the value? That is 2.50. So this is not equity share, they are not issuing equity share, this is in the form of cash, but they are considering only the number of shares here, that's all. So 62,500 is the value in the cash. So totally it is the 5 lakh rupees is the purchase consideration. So as you can see, there is no information regarding assets. So it is clearly known, we know that it is a net payment method. So please mention, don't forget to mention this net payment method and all. So hope you have been understood with this question, that is problem number 5. So next, going on to next question, that is problem number 6 under net payment method. So as you can see here, balance sheet of M Limited shows the following on 31st March 2012. So whose balance sheet is this? M company's balance sheet. So what and all they are considering in balance sheet? What is there in the M company balance sheet? 1 lakh equity share of rupees 10 each, fully paid 10 lakh rupees. So 1 lakh worth of equity share of 10 rupees there. So value is 10 lakh. 50,000 5% preference share of 10 each is there. That is worth of 5 lakh rupees. 6% debenture is there. That is worth of 5 lakh rupees. So they have equity share, they have preference share, they have debentures. There is nothing given regarding assets value. So you can clearly state this is the net payment method. So next, coming on to N Limited acquired M Limited. So who is the transferee company? N is the transferee company. Who is the transferor company? M is the transferor company. So on the same date and agree to pay the following. So they are giving the, how they are discharging the following, how they are giving the following payments, how they are making the payment. So by this we need to calculate the purchase consideration. So let's see. That is first thing they are given is 50,000 equity share of 10 each at a rate of rupees 12 each. So 50,000 is the number of equity share. Each value of equity share is 10 rupees, but they are giving at 12 rupees. Who is paying? That is N Limited is paying to M Limited equity, that is holders. So the next 30,000 8% preference share of 10 each. So they are paying 30,000 8% preference share of 10 each and 7% debenture to the extent of 2 lakh to the equity shareholders. So these things are paid to the equity shareholders of M Limited. What are all? 50,000 equity shares of 10 each, that is rate of 12%, and the preference shares and debentures are paid to equity shareholders of M Limited. So this is paid to M Limited equity shareholders. So next, what they are given, 30,000 equity share of 10 each at a rate of 12 each, and 20,000 8% preference share of 10 each to 5% preference share of M Limited. So what are all were there? So in the M Limited there were equity shareholders, there were preference shareholders, there were balance debenture holders. So whenever the payment is made, the first point they are given regarding the payment to these equity shareholders. The second point is given for the payment of this preference shareholders. So even if the question mentions the payment for debenture holders, even they are given third point regarding the payment of debenture holders, means that will not be considered. So one thing you need to keep in mind when you are calculating net payment method, don't take the payment made to the debenture holders. So in net payment method, the payment made to equity shareholders and preference shareholders only will be calculated, only will be taken into consideration, not the payment made to debenture holders. So even if there is a debenture here, but that is given to equity shareholders itself. So first there were two kinds of shareholders and one creditor was there. So we need to take only two, need to consider only two of them. That is, one is equity share and preference share. So they are given. So hey, what are the payments, how to make the payments? They are mentioned. To equity shareholders, how much of payment is made. For preference shareholders, how much of payment is made. So by keeping with this in the mind, while keep taking into consideration these things, we need to calculate the purchase consideration. So let's see how to calculate the purchase consideration. In the books of M Limited, calculation of purchase consideration, net payment method. So let's make it of two columns, outer column and inner column. So first we will be considering all the payments made to equity shareholders. The problem clearly states what are all the payments made to equity shareholders of M Limited, right? That is giving company or old company. So first payment is 50,000 equity share of 10 each at a rate of 12 each. Yes, that is equity share of 10 each at rupees 12. So 50,000 into 12, 6 lakh. So next payment what they are made, the next payment is 30,000 8% preference share of 10 each. So next payment is 30, that is 8% preference shareholders. For what? 8% preference share, 30,000 of 10 each, 3 lakh rupees. and also they are given the debenture worth of 2 lakh rupees for equity shareholders. This is paid to the equity shareholders. This can be considered. So if the question states another point, what is the debenture name? 6% debenture holders was paid of rupees 10,000 or 20,000 rupees, means that need to not be considered. But payment made to equity shareholders in form of debenture should be taken into consideration. Done. So okay, these are the things that has been paid for equity shareholders, that is worth of 11 lakh. Next, let's see what is the payment made to preference shareholders. So here first, payment made to equity shareholders of M Limited considered. Let's see what is the payment made to this preference shareholders. Here they are given 30,000 equity share of 10 each at rate of 12%. So 30,000 into 12. So preference share, equity share 30,000 into 12, 3,60,000. Next, coming on to, and 20,000 8% preference share of 10 each to 5% preference shareholders. For 2 means what? For 2 under 5% preference shareholders ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಅದು done. Consider it is 8% preference share of 20,000 of rupees 10 each. So they are also given the number of preference share 20,000 into 10, 2 lakh rupees. Totally 5,60,000 is paid to 5% preference shareholders. So totally 16,60,000 is the purchase consideration. So in case of net payment method, they would have given the discharge of PC. By using that, you need to calculate the purchase consideration. So in net asset method, they will be giving the asset value, they will be giving the liabilities value. You should calculate what is the purchase consideration and also what is the discharge, how to discharge the purchase purchase consideration. Then hope you have been understood with the problems regarding the calculation of purchase consideration. So by this thing, we have completed with first 2 steps, how to calculate with the purchase consideration, how to calculate the discharge of PC. So next we need to see what is the closing, how to that is journal entries and ledger account in the books of transferor company, and also opening entries in the books of transferee company. So in the old company and new company, old company closing entries, in the new company opening entries, and preparation of balance sheet. So in this video, I'll stop till here. In the next video, I'll be talking about closing of the books of transferor company. So thank you.